Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Right, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
எனக்கு தேவையானதே பேசுங்க.
இல்ல சார், இது டிசேபிள்டு தான் சார் வருது சார். ஆமா, I cannot present the PPT. காணிக்கிறார் சார். ஒரு
சார், குட் மார்னிங் சார். சத்யநாராயணன் சார்.
சார் சத்யநாராயண் சார், குட் ஈவினிங் சார்.
குட் ஈவினிங். குட் ஈவினிங் சார்.
அந்த பாக்குறேன் சார். எஸ் சார். தேங்க்யூ சார். தேங்க்யூ காணிக்கிறார் சார். சரிங்க சார். ஓகே சார். ஓகே. சரிங்க சார். ஓகே சார்.
சார் லைவ்ல எரர் ரெக்கார்டுன்னு வருதுங்க சார். இன்னும் எஸ் கனெக்ட் ஆயிடுச்சு.
காணிக்கிறார் சார். காணிக்கிறார் சார். ஹலோ காணிக்கிறார் சார். சார் அந்த ஸ்கிரீன் தெரியுதுங்களா சார்? எங்க டிபார்ட்மெண்ட் ஆஃப் பயோகெமிஸ்ட்ரி போட்டுருக்குது.
தெரியுது சார். தெரியுது.
ஓகே சார். ஓகே. தேங்க்யூ சார்.
நம்ம இது தெரியுது சார். டிபார்ட்மெண்ட் ஆஃப் பயோகெமிஸ்ட்ரி வெல்கம் யூ ஆல்.
அந்த சொல்றேன் சார்.
யூடியூப் லிங்க்ல பாருங்க காலேஜ்.
ஓகே, தேங்க்யூ.
சார் இன்னும் யூடியூப் லைவுக்கு இன்னும் வரல சார். காணிக்கிறார் சார்.
யூடியூப் லைவ்ல வந்துருச்சா பாருங்க.
இன்னும் வரல சார்.
வந்துருச்சா பாருப்பா. பாரு, அவருக்கு தான் கனெக்ட் பண்ணாரு. பாரு, கொஞ்சம் பார்த்துட்டு சொல்லுப்பா.
பேஜ்ல வருதே சார். யூடியூப் லைவ் பேஜ்ல வருதே.
வருதா? சரிங்க.
வீட்ல இப்ப மொபைல்ல பார்த்தப்ப வருது.
சரிங்க சார். நான்
போட்டு ஃபர்ஸ்ட் பேஜ் இருக்கு. ஃப்ரண்ட் பேஜ் அந்த இது அப்படியே இருக்கு. வெல்கம் யூ ஆல் ஃபார் இன்னோவேட்டிவ் பெடகாலஜி ஆஃப் லேபரட்டரி கோர்ஸ் இன் அனிமல் பயாலஜி. வந்திருக்கு.
அந்த அனிமேஷன் கரெக்ட்டா வருதா சார்? அந்த அனிமேஷன்.
ஆமா, அனிமேஷன் இருக்கு சார். அந்த சைடுல அனிமலோட இது.
ஓகே. Thank you sir. Thank you. Satyanarayan sir. Yes. Sir, good evening sir. Good evening Akbar sir.
Good evening.
Sir, we are in sir live aids sir YouTube la.
Good. Very good. So
father on the time we will start sir.
Yes sir.
Father ku pesu. Sir, என்ன பிளான்?
ஆடி நீதான் சைடுல இதெல்லாம் நல்லா சூப்பரா தெரியுது உங்களுக்கு. நம்மளே யூடியூப்ல வந்து
participants 7 participants are there. Sir, Satyanarayan sir and Akbasha sir.
Yes sir.
Sir, father is not available today.
Okay.
He was asking us to start the program by 4. He will join soon, sir. He will join later.
Fine.
Okay, sir. Okay. By sharp 4 we will start for. start.
Yes, sir.
Sir. It's 3:53.
Okay.
We will start by 4. Okay, thank you, sir.
நீங்க காலையில் போறீங்க சார் பவுசு?
நீ போல சத்யா. இன்னைக்கு ஒரு கரெக்ஷன் இருந்தது, ஒரு ரிவ்யூ.
இன்னைக்கு காலைல 11 to 1 ஒரு வெபினார் இருந்தது எலிபென்ட்.
அப்படியா? நீங்க பேசுனீங்களா அல்லது பிரசன்ட் பண்ணீங்களா?
வேற இங்க கவர்மெண்ட் ஆர்ட்ஸ் காலேஜ் ஊட்டி.
ஓகே.
அங்க அவங்க ஆர்கனைஸ் பண்ணாங்க.
சரி.
இப்போ எலிபென்ட்ல ஒர்க் பண்ணவங்க எங்க ஸ்டூடண்ட்ஸ் தான்.
அந்த எபனீசர் அங்க தானே இருக்கிறான்.
ஆமாமா, எபினிஸ் அங்க தான் ஹெச்ஓடி.
ஹெச்ஓடி.
நிறைய நாட்டு நல்லா பண்றாங்க சார். they are doing very good activity. சன்னு இந்த வெப்கேம் வந்து நான் இதெல்லாம் யூஸ் பண்ண வயர்டு இல்லாம ஒரு வெப்கேம் வித் மைக்கோட இருக்கு.
ஆமா,
அது கம்ப்யூட்டர்ல வச்சுட்டோம்னா நம்ம வந்து மைக் எதையும் தேவையில்லை, அதே வீடியோ வரும், நம்ம பேசலாம், மைக் எடுத்துவோம், ஸ்பீக்கர் வச்சுட்டோம்னா நல்லா ஒர்க் ஆகும். லோகிடெக்
இல்ல அது வந்து இந்த ஒரு மைக் மாதிரி வந்து கிளிக் பண்ணிக்கிறோமே, அதான் சொல்றீங்க நீங்க இல்லையா?
இல்ல அதெல்லாம் ஒண்ணு இல்லை, அதுலவே அட்டாச், கேமராலவே அட்டாச் மைக்.
ஓகே.
வெப் கேமராலவே மைக்கும் இருக்கும், நல்ல எஃபெக்ட். லோகிடெக் இருக்கு.
ஓகே.
ரொம்ப நாளுமே எடுத்து வந்தா எதுக்கோ சரி இதுக்கு ரொம்ப யூஸ் ஆகும். நம்ம இந்த மைக் இங்க வச்சுட்டு அட்ஜஸ்ட் பண்ண தேவையில்லை, அது ஆல்ரெடி ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்கா டெஸ்க்டாப்ல ஃபிக்ஸ் பண்ணிட்டோம்னா ஸ்கிரீன்ல.
இப்போ நீங்க டெஸ்க்டாப்ல பண்றதுனால உங்களுக்கு மைக்கு இதெல்லாம் தேவையா இருக்கு. இப்ப நான் லேப்டாப்ல பண்றோம், எல்லாம் அதுல பில்ட்னா இருக்கு.
ஆமா, இதுல பில்ட் இருக்காது, அதுல இருக்கு பில்ட் இருக்கு.
லேப்டாப்ல டெஸ்க்டாப்ல இருக்குதா?
இது ஸ்பீக்கர் இருக்கும்.
ஆமா, மைக் இருக்குமா? மைக் இருக்காது.
என்னன்னா காலையில ஒரு வெட்டரி டாக்டர் வைல்ட் லைஃப் ஃபுட் அண்ட் மவுத் டிசீஸ் வந்து ஃபுட் ஃபுட் அண்ட் மவுத் டிசீஸ் அது நான் டீச் பண்ணும் போதுல இருந்து பசங்களுக்கு எல்லாம் பாதி பசங்க ஃபுட் அண்ட் மவுத் டிசீஸ்
College, Trichy. As the first phase of today's webinar, let us invoke God's abundant blessings. When prayers go up, blessings come down. I invite Professor Benno, Department of Biochemistry, St. Joseph's College, to lead us in the prayer.
Almighty Heavenly Father, we thank you for the beautiful evening you have given us. Shower your rightful blessings on this webinar on innovative pedagogy of laboratory courses in animal biology. Bless all the academicians, resource persons, faculty members, research scholars, and students from various colleges present in this webinar. Guide us all in this journey of pandemic with good health and happiness. We ask this prayer in the name of our precious Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Professor Benno. Welcoming is an art of making the souls at the doorstep to thrill. I take this opportunity to perform such a noble task. But before I enter into the formal welcome address, I would like to speak a few words about the scope of this webinar. Knowledge was, once upon a time, the properties and possession of an individual. When books were made, knowledge became available, and as a result, it became the property of the public. As the innovations accumulate, the volumes of books rose. As the volumes of books rose, the area of containment required to be enlarged. In addition, making of books required a fibrous template, printing machinery, and labor. Accumulation of knowledge acquired worldwide, when taken into account, cannot be enclosed physically by means of making books. Making books and having them in a particular enclosure of a school, college, city, state, and nation poses another problem of not being shared and used by the learners of different locality as and when required. This necessity paved way for the development of saving the data in the form of 0 and 1, the digital form. This enables saving large amount of data and at the same time eliminates barrier for sharing. At this juncture, we must analyze two things. Number one, the income of the employees of an organization, the production and sales record of an industry, the academic activities of educational institutions, citizen charts of a government, innovations of a scientist, achievements of experts, the novel articles made by an artist. All these can be documented as digital data. Records of achievements of today will become archives of tomorrow. Number two, the digital data stored can be analyzed and manipulated by database management systems. Manipulation of such data necessitates not a big multi-storied laboratory, but just digital computers. However, the manufacture process of pharmaceutical industry or the protocol of a multi-step biological processes, or else a complicated surgical procedure like open heart surgery can be executed only by complicated machineries installed in multi-story buildings. How such rare events, articles, and records are preserved digitally, how the manufacture process of a pharmaceutical industry, or how the protocol of a multi-step biological process or surgical procedures can be executed in silico. Is there any way? The answers for these two questions form the theme of today's webinar. To make deliberations on these two concepts, we have two eminent persons connected with us online. The first talk is on Digital Museum. It is to be delivered by Dr. M.C. Satyanarayana, retired professor, Department of Zoology, AVC College, Mayiladurai. I wholeheartedly welcome him in our network. Welcome, sir. The second talk is on Virtual Lab. It is to be delivered by Dr. M.A. Akbar Shah, ex-director of Doyer and Camp, Varadasan University, currently serving as Biomedical Scientist and Research Coordinator, National College, Trichy. I wholeheartedly welcome him in our network. Welcome, sir. To bless the occasion of knowledge sharing, we have a person noted for his articulated speech, encompassed with a parable. The entire administration of St. Joseph's College, Trichy, is headed by his expertise, commitment, and dedicated service. He is none other than our beloved Secretary, Reverend Father Peter S.J. I wholeheartedly welcome him in the network. In addition, I welcome and acknowledge the presence of Dr. Leonard S.J., the Rector, Dr. Aragizami Xavier, the Principal, Dr. V. Alex Ramani, the Deputy Principal, Dr. Sahaya Satish, Dean, School of Biological Sciences, Dr. Sendil Kumar, Head of the Department of Botany, Dr. Edward, Head Department of Biotechnology. Next, I would like to welcome the dignitaries of other institutes, of other states, and of other nations connected as an intellectual network. I regard this as a constellation connected by scientific stars, including the alumni of my own department, researchers from India and abroad, staff and students from various states of India and of other nations. On behalf of the Biochemistry Department, St. Joseph's College, Tiruchirappalli, I welcome you all to this webinar. The last but not the least, I would like to welcome our own staff and students. In short, I welcome every one of you connected here. Dear participants, because of some technical difficulties yesterday, we could not offer the webinar as scheduled. We sincerely appreciate the polite inquiries and responses made by the participants. Thank you. Now we move on to the first session. The first invited talk is on Digital Museum, delivered by Dr. M.C. Satyanarayana. Now I invite Professor P.G. G.G., Department of Biochemistry, St. Joseph's College, to introduce the speaker to the participants network. Over to Professor G.G.
Yes, good evening, participants. And it is my great pleasure to introduce our speaker of first section of our webinar, Dr. M.C. Satyanarayana, retired Associate Professor, Department of Biobiology and Department of Zoology, ABC College, Mayiladuthurai. He has a very rich experience of teaching of 29 years and in research 38 years. He held various positions as Senior Research Fellow in ICMR. Then he has acted as Senior Research Fellow in DST project, as well as Senior Research Assistant in Central Sericulture Research Training Institute. So after this, he has joined the college and carried out 29 years from 1981 to 2010. His research guidance, he has guided nearly 7 PhD students and 18 MPhil students, and he has taken number of research projects in Ministry of Environment and Forestry, the DST-1, UGC Major 2, and UGC Minor Projects 3. Next, he has organized many seminars at national and international levels like workshops, conferences, symposia, and he is chairperson for many organizations. The publications, the number of research papers published is around 28. He has authored one book. In Tamil, he has authored one book that is Kalalora Padipikalam, Sutrusoral Padugapu, Conservation of Coastal Ecosystem in Regional Language. And he has authored for one chapter. And 12 papers he has presented in symposium, 7 newsletter articles he has made it, and in seminars and other conferences he has presented nearly 93 papers. Then he has been accolade with various awards like UGC Research Award, UGC Emeritus Fellowship Award, then award given by the NICH UK, the International Network for Human Education UK, for animal welfare activities. Then he also been awarded as a honorary appointment to the Research Board of Advisor by American Biological Institute, and he has been also awarded by the Rotary Club of Mayiladuthurai for the Vocational Service Award for Outstanding Contribution. He also acted as member in various bodies, the Training and Research Advisory Committee, TRAC, Wildlife Institute of India, Dehradun. Then he was an advisory member board of Mahatma Gandhi Doran-Camp Center for Animal Alternative, Bardhasan University. And he is one of the very important CPCAC nominee. He has visited many colleges throughout Tamil Nadu, the universities like Annamalai, Bardhasan, Madras Universities, So throughout Tamil Nadu is one of the very thing. And he also a special animal house facility inspection committee member for CMC Vellore. So he also been a member of various professional bodies. So World Pheasant Association India, the member of Indian Society for Parasitology, the member of Zoological Society of India, the member of ICN Bird Life, then Veterinary Specialist Group, and member of Ornithological Society of India. He has been acted as member of Board of Studies in various universities and colleges in Tamil Nadu. So thank you. So such an eminent person is in our midst. So we can put our ears to hear his sharing of knowledge with us. Thank you.
Dr. Satyanarayana sir, now the network is yours, sir. Sir, now you can initiate the presentation, sir.
Sorry, sir. Visible irka PPT?
Not yet, sir. Not yet.
PPT
Not
visible irka?
Illa, sir. Full screen varla, sir. Full screen. You have to make it full screen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is visible, sir.
Check clear?
Yes, sir.
It
Yes,
is
sir.
visible.
PPT
Yes,
visible
sir.
irka?
Visible. Yes, sir. Visible.
Full screen. Full screen, sir. Make it full screen.
Full screen varala.
Make it full screen. Yes, sir. Now
Yes,
now it has come.
Okay. So you have put the brochure flyer in the screen, is it?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Fine.
So, good evening to the Director, Principal Secretary, and Head of the Department, Biochemistry, Divakar, and the faculty members of the Department of Biochemistry, and Professor Akbar Shah, and the faculty members of the St. Joseph College and of the various departments, and my dear students, and also other invitees or other participants. I'm very glad for your participation in this innovative pedagogy of laboratory course in animal biology webinar today evening. And also I am really very glad for having thought of to organize such an innovative webinar on the digital museum and the virtual lab. I congratulate the organizers. Not moving away. Okay. Now, you may be wondering, what is the digital museum? Now, everybody knows, everybody speaks nowadays, digital world. We are in a digital India and digital age. Now, everything is digital. Everything is computerized. Why not our museum? Now, here I want to address you why I entered into this digital world to conserve the animal. That is the theme of the today. What are the reasons in order to involve myself or in order to enter into this digital world in order to conserve the animals? Now, as an educator, teaching wildlife biology, conservation biology, biodiversity conservation, and also as a CPC nominee, I have involved in killing and preserving a number of animals for the museum. Now I used to address myself, is it justified? Am I doing justice to this biodiversity concept, biodiversity conservation, or the wildlife conservation, right, as an wildlife welfare? Then I realized the time came in 2001, it occurred me, in order to stop killing of the animal for the dissection in the zoology laboratories and life science laboratories. And that time, it didn't occur me to think about the museums. Then after 5-6 years, when we have Akbar Shah and Sharma and myself, we are organizing so many programs, immediately we thought of why not we can enter into the museum also. Then I realized to avoid killing or procuring animals for the purpose of museum in order to train our student in the name of spot identification, whatever it may be. And then we thought we must have some better curricular transformation which avoids killing of the animals. Now, this digital museum is an innovative teaching method or innovative pedagogy. It is based on the digital technology. This is called the digital museum. Now, best thing is awareness programs. In this digital museum, first thing is my aim is to sensitize the traditional museum holders, like our friends, our zoology teaching lecturers, professors in the various colleges and various universities. So this is an awareness program on the digital museum in order to conserve the biodiversity. That is the aim of this awareness program. Now, wherever I go, I always remember this slide. Why awareness? You must ask, why to sensitize? Is it a sensitizing talk? If you want to live for 1 year, plant rice, plant paddy. If you want to live for 10 years, you have to plant trees. One has to live for 100 years. Please have an awareness program or educate the people. That's what I am doing that. Educate the people in order to have 100 years of living. Now, let me know what is a digital museum. It may be a new topic for this. I think students are able to follow this. Is it all right, Divakar, for students?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now,
Yes.
what's a digital museum? First of all, let me know what is a digital museum. A digital museum, nothing but it utilizes your computer and information technology, IT, on which these animal species, the animals collection can be preserved and it can be displayed in a digital format. That is the digital. It's nothing. It's not new to you. You are already in a digital world. You are using the digital technology. You are using your mobile. Everything. They're better than me. So all my students, friends, they are using excellent, better than us. They have the tool. This is the best tool, modern tool. They know how to use it. Now these are preserved, displayed in the digital format. And now here it will have a digital imaging. So whenever you have one object, you are going to, suppose you are seeing a frog like this with your camera, you are going to digitize. You have a digital capture. I used to tell that digital capture. Suppose I go to a field, I say live animal, I just capture it digitally. That is called digital imaging system. Then object digitization. After that, I will transfer this object into a digital format. Then I will scan. How will you scan? Suppose I have already an insect in my museum, or I have the other animal, preserved animals in my museum. What I will do is I will scan this object into digital visualization and display. That is the all of you always understand this. What's a digital museum? Now you got it. I think what is a digital museum? That is the basic thing, fundamental thing in the digital museum. Again, a digital museum is a technology-driven teaching or training methodology. Why this technology-driven methodology we are advocating is in order to conserve the animal. There is no killing of animals. There is no preservation of animals. There is no taxidermy of the animals. And this digital technology enhances our traditional museum mission, where we kill, preserve the animal, and also we exhibit and we also train our students. Okay. Now, this technology-driven pedagogy. So the pedagogy is nothing but teaching methods, teaching principles. One of the conservation practices. So you must give importance to the conservation. My aim is that we have to protect the animal. As a wildlife biologist, as a conservation, I want to conserve the animal. If you want to conserve the animal, you must find out a teaching method, a pedagogy in which we will have a transformation in order to avoid the killing of the animal for our purpose. The purpose is that to train our students in the practical curriculum in the zoology laboratories or the life science laboratories. Okay. Now I will ask you why and need for the digital museum. You can ask yourself, what is the need of this museum? Now also, what are the current challenges considered by biodiversity? there are various challenges in order to conserve the biodiversity. So one challenge is that digital museum. There are other various biotechnological approach, whereas the tools are there, we have the drones are there. These are the various challenges to conserve the biodiversity in this digital world. Now, what are the reasons in order to have a digital museum? What are the factors which are responsible to advocate to have a transformation from the traditional museum to the digital museum? One is the pedagogical practice, biodiversity or the wildlife conservation, environmental concerns, legal protection of the animals, ethical issues are the 3 R's principle, animal welfare, activist groups. We can just study one by one. Now, in the pedagogical practice, in the zoology curriculum, all of you know that we have a practicals in the zoology. From the first day, second, third, and 9 months also, you have the practical curriculum. In this practical curriculum, students are asked to observe the salient features, where in a killed and preserved animal museum like this, what are you doing assignment? Identify, classification, command, biological significance. This is our purpose of this practical curriculum. So we ask the students, we train our students in order to find out, to study the salient features, in order to classify them, in order to have relate with the habitat, these habits, and comment on this. This is our purpose. Now, if you look at these dead specimens, these are preserved with chemicals. All of you know that. You also know about what is a museum specimen. If you look at this museum specimen, look at this live animal, real animal. For example, the Rana hexadactyla or Euplectex hexadactyla, and you look at this preserved animal. Okay, have a faded colors. Number 1, color pattern change. You have a wrinkled skin. If you look at the means, wrinkled skin, and we have the flattened bodies, abnormal portion of the limbs. Limb may be damaged, limb may be bent, and other distortion. And the formaldehyde, the chemical you are used to the museum, is harmful to your health. So this is the one, you can look at this, you can compare. This is the live animal and this is the preserved animal. Now, we used to have a spartus. So just for us, when there is a spartus, what I will do, I will just take number of museum specimens on the table. Now here, when I keep this animal, unable to show the colors, real colors, this is now called hexadactyla. And now you see this picture. Now the real or the original structures damaged, structures we are exhibiting, we are showing these students. Now this means I have cheated my students from so many years. So many students, hundreds of students from BSc, MSc. I have cheated my profession. I have cheated the biodiversity conservation. Is it not? Is it justified? I used to address myself first. And my friends, teacher friends, please, you address yourself. That's what I want. If you address, that is solution for the biodiversity conservation. If you answer this, that means you are saving number of animals. That is the best practice of biodiversity conservation. Now, not only that, we also ask the students to collect like this, insert collection for the entomology and submit in order to assess the students and also to evaluate. So this is the other part that we ask, number of animals also should be collected for when the practical exam comes. Now, this is what museums maintained by the college. We are very proud. When I work in the ABC college, whenever EGC committee comes or other committee comes, sir, we have a very good museum. We have 5,000 specimens in my museum. We are collecting very well. This is what we have, the formaldehyde preserved animal and also stuffed animals on the display. And if you look at the Zoology Department Museum, in our state, there are lakhs of specimens. If you can think about the scenario in India, the whole nation, you can see millions, lakhs of specimens are killed, preserved, the formaldehyde, and there are stuffed animals in the zoology museums. Now, you must see that more than 5,80,000 specimens of amphibians, reptiles, 40,000 species of birds, 5,90,000 of preserved specimens of mammals are maintained in the National Museum of Natural History, Smithsonian Institute, USA. And recently, when I was attending the webinar addressed by the Dr. Kailash Chandra, the director of the Zoological Survey of India, on 21st July 2020, he said that genocide is collected and maintained 5.6 million specimens, so 5.50 lakhs of the specimen in the Zoological Survey of India. Now, not only in the college museums, in the public museums. For example, you go to the Madras Museum, they also exhibit animals. What is the purpose of exhibiting? In order to educate the students and the general public. What they will do, they also capture, kill, and preserve animals in the formaldehyde and exhibit it like this. They will also label it and they will exhibit like this. Now, you can see that the glass rack full of your preserved, which are killed and maintained in the museum. So there are million animal species preserved in glass in the alcohol in the Berlin Natural History Museum. Now, the other part is the taxidermy. See, we have the formaldehyde preserved specimen. What is the taxidermy? In the pedagogical practice, in the practical curriculum, trapping, killing, taxidermy training. For example, in the zoology curriculum, not the most of the colleges will have. In ABC College in the wildlife, we have a taxidermy. We practice this, we train the students in order to do stuffing of these birds and other animals. Okay, what is a taxidermy? A taxidermy is a technique in which preserving of animal's body via stuffing or mounting for purpose of this study like this. We will just kill the animal, trap the animal, kill it, then you remove the internal parts of the body and you apply the chemicals on that. You apply also some oil on the feathers of the birds. This is what taxidermist is to do. A person who practices this type of techniques is known as the taxidermist. They practice professionally for museums. So in our college, we also send our museum assistant to training to Madras Museum for 15 days to have familiarized with the taxidermy. So you go there, he trains there, and he comes and do the taxidermy work in our college museum. And not only that, he also give training to our students, MSc students. Now see this, the portion, only portion of, I'm showing you only portion of the Museum Natural History bird collection. Think about these millions of the birds are stuffed in these museum collections. Look at this. This is called the taxidermy. Not only the bird, we have the mammals, other reptiles, also stuffed and exhibited. But this is what, when I visited in the Natural History Museum in the Washington, I have just, and also in the Boston, they have exhibited like this. Now you can see that this is for our local, in our college, the ABC college, we used to do the stuffing work, and we also preserve. And if your college is not doing taxidermy, one thing I want to tell you that where you get it, you procure from the biological supplies. One Agra supplies, biological science. Now they also closed that. Earlier, all the college museums, excuse me, the college museums procure from them number of stuffed animals like that, preserved animals. There. Okay. Now see, not only the mammals and birds, even the frogs. See, look at this, how they kill and preserve, and this is all the dry mouths, like a taxidermy technique they use, and they exhibit it like this. Now see, this is also very funny. The amphibians preserved through taxidermy, variety of human scenarios in order to exhibit. What is that? Playing like humans, playing like a man, boy, girl. So this is what the amphibians, the frogs are playing, going to the dentist. Okay, this is what taxidermy museum. Now you know what is a digital museum. What is the purpose of the animals we are preserving or killing? There is a purpose. Earlier we had a purpose in order to train our students. See, I don't blame that, the system. We have a traditional system earlier days to train our students. That is the days where we want to train our students. So nobody can be blamed in that. That's our curricular practice is such. Okay, now this is the age of biodiversity. We teach, or I taught so many years, the biodiversity, importance of biodiversity, or the importance of the wildlife, the conservation of the wildlife, conservation of biodiversity. What is the purpose? to have a sustainable development or a sustainable living in my theory class. Same teacher, same educator goes to the practical class. He trains the students, or he trains the learners. I trained my learners, my students, in order to trap, kill the animal, preserve it, then in the formaldehyde, some of the animals, keep it, or do the taxidermy. And also we procure animals from, already told you, biology supply from the Agra and other places in India. Now I used to address so many years. I think Professor Akboshar knows. We went throughout India. Wherever we go, I used to address myself as a zoology life science teacher, as a biodiversity consultant. Am I doing justification? Again, I put forth the teacher must feel that as we're doing a justification for this. Now, this reason, other reason is the environmental concerns. We are all teaching the environmental study as a subject, importance of the environment, ecosystem. Okay. Now, when you capture, collect, preserve the animals for the purpose of museum, it causes an ecosystem balance. Suppose this is an ecosystem, I collect the birds. Now that means I am the person who just cuts the chain link, the footbed cut by me. And suppose I want snakes, I remove the snakes, I remove the insects. And if the botany, they also, for the herbarium, they also remove the plants. Okay. What are the causes of the ecosystem imbalance? There is a decline in the populations. What is the result of the environmental concern? That is the huge decline. The population has been reduced. This is one of the reasons. Animals used for the purpose of museum is one of the reasons, one of the factors in the decline, in the reduction in the population of the number of animals. Now, this is a very, very important point. The other reason that the animal protection laws and regulations. It is a very pity that most of us, the zoology teachers and life science teachers, they are not aware of the existing animal protection laws and regulations. I will tell you that during my studies in Pachaya Pascal from pre-university to MSc and in the university PhD, I don't know about the legal protection to animals. Even after joining the ABC college, fortunately we have the MSc Wildlife Code. There we have to teach in Wildlife Protection Act and other acts, where only I started studying, knowing about the existing animal protection laws and regulations. Now I want to address you, how many of us know the legal protection to animals and national laws and regulations? And just ignorance of law, sir, I don't know the law, I don't know the regulation, it is not an excuse for an educator and for a learner. So you cannot be blamed afterward. No. It's a very sad to know the animal protection laws are disregarded. The animal laws are largely neglected. And we are the excellent lawmakers. At the same time, being an Indian, we are the best or the better lawbreakers. So the protection laws and regulations, what I did, I have used, this is one of my strategies in order to threaten the zoology educators, an effective threatening conservation tool. Professor Akboshar and Sharma knows that throughout India, wherever you go, actually we have threatened with the existing animal protection laws. Okay. How many of you know the 51AG, the Constitution of India? Again, Section 51AG requires from a citizen of India, it's a fundamental duty. It shall be a duty of every citizen of India to protect and improve the natural environment, which are including forests, lakes, rivers, and wildlife, and to have a compassion or love for all the living creatures. How many of us know this is a fundamental in the Constitution? It, again, I don't blame. There's a system in our curriculum. We are not given importance. Right from the first standard to SSLC, we don't have the legal protection or the laws. We are not giving importance to the legal issues. That is why we are lacking in this. So hereafter, what I feel that we must include legal issues, whatever things like this in our curriculum, right from the schooling. Generally, we are well versed with the legal issues. Now, other thing, how many of you know that every year in India, we celebrate the Constitution of India that is called Samvidhan Divas on the 26th November every year. Why we always celebrate the Constitution of India? On this Constitution Day, we reiterate our pledge to always uphold the Constitution of India. Now, this is all again, the other legal protection animal is the best legal protection is the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. Now, all of you know that the wildlife means tiger, lion, big animals, wild animals. People think that. Even earlier, when I was doing zoology also, I thought wildlife means only tiger, elephant, all other big animals. Okay, like your sloth bear, all those things. Now, for information, if you look at this definition for wildlife, all the non-domesticated animal and non-cultivar plants are included in the wildlife. That means except your cow, buffalo, dog, or the wild animals. Okay. What is the definition of the Wildlife Protection Act? If you go to the Wildlife Protection, see, this is what all of you must hereafter just read this from your library. This is the Wildlife Protection Act. Go through this kindly. And if you look at the definition for the Wildlife Protection Act, Section 2, wildlife includes any animal, right, from bees, butterflies, crustaceans, fish, moths, everything. That's why we say biodiversity. Everything is included in the wildlife. So now, this is some of the few the animals given a legal protection. There are a number of products. If you look at these are hundreds of these in the different sections. I will just let you know what are some of the animals which are protected. If you look at the Indian Wildlife Protection 1972, in the Schedule 4, 13, all the freshwater frogs, all the rana species comes under the Indian Wildlife Protection Act 1972. Wide notification, file number, I have given 9th September 1980. They have included in the Schedule 4, your Poplopetra or Rana tigrinus, Poplobatricus, you have the Rana, again, Rana hexadactyla, Euphrictus, Cynoplictus, Limnonectus, Limnocaris. Okay, these are the various amphibians given legal protection. It is also illegal to collect, kill, preserve in the museum, and also procuring from the suppliers. So you must know the legal issues. Even if you have one frog in your college campus, even a preserved or the live animal, it is illegal. So anybody can be prosecuted. The DFO of your Trichy district forest officer, a range officer in your area, if you visit your college, if you possess, he got the right to prosecute and punish. Now, and the other act, in the Act Schedule 2, Part 1, non-human primates, Macaca radiata, Macaca mallata, the rhesus monkey, even the Schedule 1, Part 2, your seahorses also included, sea cucumber included, chameleon included, in the weaver bird also. These are some of the few things I am just showing you. Now, if you look at the Indian Wildlife Protection Act 1972, Chapter 5, the trade or commerce in wild animals, animal articles, and trophies. The 13 wild animals extra to be government property, number 1. All the wild animals are the government property. And if you look at the 42, certificate of ownership, very, very important. So all of you must carefully see this. The Chief Wildlife Warden of the concerned state may, for the purpose of Section 40, issue a certificate of ownership in such form as may be prescribed to any person, in his opinion, is in lawful possession of any wild animal article. For example, you have a tiger skin, a trophy like a antler, deer antler, blackback antler, or you have the python skin, you have the cobra skin, you have the any wild animal, all the trophies are uncued trophy. The trophy is not cued, made possible, marked in the prescribed manner. So that's why I request you, you must have a possession certificate. So all the zoology department we are maintaining a museum earlier, right? So nobody should be blamed. Now this is the time. You can approach a district forest officer, give a list of, prepare a list of the museum specimens. These are the possession under possession of the zoology department, so and so. Kindly provide us the possession certificate, ownership certificate. If they endorse in that, nothing will happen tomorrow. If somebody writes your museum, the college premises, if the first person to be answerable, not the HOD lecturer in the zoology department, if the principal of the dean of this campus is answerable for this. Okay, be careful and you do this. Now, I'll tell you one case study. It has happened in the Delhi, our capital. The Department of Wildlife and Forest issued a notices asking school authorities to declare their specimens. Actually, they are about to prosecute. Then they excuse, they are not prosecuted. The department is confiscating all the specimens. Right? This happens everywhere. But probably the day will come to prosecute somebody in your camp, in your zoology department. So beware of these things. Now, again, I want to show you that how many of us seen this circular in 2006? It has come to 2006. The university government has sent to all the college universities. The universities asked, the researchers asked to transmit to the various affiliated colleges. And this is a very pity that we are not seeing this circular. In 2006 itself, in case of your university called procure any animal protection under the Wildlife Protection Act, may be surrendered immediately to the Department of Environment and Forest. You should not have a fresh purchase for the preserved stuffed animals for your museum. It's not a pity that I have not seen this circular. When you involve in this mission of conservation animals, to have a curricular transformation. From 2001 onwards, we slowly started collecting the legal issues. We're going through various updates, and Professor Akbar Shah and your K.K. Sharma and myself, we are able to get a lot of information, a lot of evidences. If I simply say that, don't do that, my friends may not listen, my teachers may not listen, that's not justified. So we want to collect the evidences. We got the official letter circulars like this. So that means, though we have the 2006, we have not followed this. That's why I say that we have rules and regulations, but we have not followed. It's a very pity. Now, we have the museum, excellent museums in all the colleges, in the universities throughout India. Don't you think it's a violation of the animal protection laws? Is it a biodiversity concept? Again, I used to address several times. Now, other reason is 3 aspects. Some of you may be knowing 3 R's. When you do the animal experimentation, it's also very important. What is the 3 R's? One is the replace. Use of live animals by non-animal are very, very important for us. For the educators, it's very, very important. Wherever possible, we can replace the existing animal use, live animal use. We can replace it with the other art like digital museum. We can reduce. This is for your experimentation. Refine your, that's what we can refine. Our teaching pedagogy. We have a curricular transformation. That's called refinement. When we refine in our culture, in our dress culture, in my physics, I used to have a change. Why not you have a change? Why can't you refine your teaching curriculum? That's what I request the young teachers to have a now and then the curricular transformation. Revise your syllabi, practical syllabi. That is called 3 R's. And if we were to talk about 3 R's, I know Akbar Shah and Sharma, we always remember Russell and Rexbert. You are responsible for this 3 R's principle, and these are the ethical issues. Now, the other is, we must be very careful nowadays. We have very good animal welfare activist group, like People for Animal under the Maneka Gandhi. We have the Blue Cross Society of India, where we have the actor Samala in the Hyderabad. We have the Save the Frogs. We have internationally number of, we have the PETA, we have PETA India, PETA International. These are the various animal welfare group activists. And these people are protesting the use of animals in the museum and the laboratories for the purpose of dissection for the purpose of training. And for the society, we are also accountable. Okay. These existing animal protection laws, the other factors forced to stop collection, killing, preservation, or procuring animals from supplier for museum use. This also forced the various factors which I explained you. This forced teachers to convert existing traditional zoology museum into a digital museum. Okay. One thing I always tell to my teachers and students, most of us teach the way in which we are taught. Suppose in Pachapas College, my teachers taught me, of joining this teaching profession, I used to teach the way in which my teachers taught me. That's wrong. Actually, rather than the way we learn, when my teachers had taught me, I learned something, subject. I learned the zoology. I learned the wildlife. And we must teach the way in which we learn. That's the two vast differences. Because my teachers followed this spotter identification, the dead animal. I must also train my students. I must have a syllabi like that only. My teachers, when I'm doing my MSc and BSc, I used to cut animals, dissection. Okay. When I join teacher, my students, I will also train with this. This is a different chain. We must have a different, find out the two vast differences. Fill the gap. We have a curricular transformation. Now, this always, wherever I go, for so many years, from 2001, even now, you must do today's job with today's tools. Very, very important. If we do today's job with yesterday's tools, tomorrow you'll be kicked out. You are out of business. This is called technology-driven teaching methodologies. Nowadays, very important. Why? In order to keep up with the time and challenges. We have a challenges and the time in this digital world and digital age. Now, you may say that, sir, why, sir, you have a computer, all those things, LCD, why you want to have a dissection alternative, why you want to have a digital museum? See, from the blackboard, there's a transformation teaching. See, we have just not followed the blackboard nowadays. We have come to this, we have a slide projectors, we have in our college, we have just dissection, we have transformed into the with our microscope, with the TV, and we have the LCD. Now we have a webinar. See what is wonderful, the technical advancement. Don't you think we are all very happy? We are very good. We are very intelligent in the technology. This is a technology-driven teaching pedagogy, the webinar, seminar. Okay, wonderful. Now, now we have traditionally, of course I is going to, just for one slide, I will show you that. We also have a digital virtual lab in which traditionally we are just, zoology means cutting the animal, killing the animal. This is called yesterday's tool. What is today's tool? Look at this. Zoology digital virtual laboratory. Now it's coming. If you look at the number of colleges also started having the digital lab, digital zoology lab. We went to Europe and some of the colleges, they have a separate lab having computer, which is called the digital virtual lab. And Professor Akbar is going to deliver lecture the next session on this. Now, there is a transformation. Now we are coming to transformation. From the traditional museum like this, with the yesterday tool, we have a today's tool, digitalizing system, digital system, digital imaging system, computer, we have this mouse, and this is the digital technology. We have transformed this form into a digital format. Now, what is a digital museum? See, like this. Now, museums are doing what they will do. Whatever the collection they have, they will transform into the computers like this, scan it and transform it, store it, then exhibit like this. This is called the digital museum. Now, this is what they do, digital technology, the existing museum specimen convert to digital. So why not you can also practice in your college museum? Start doing that from tomorrow onward, maybe after the COVID, after reopening the colleges, train your students, they're excellent. Whatever specimen in the museum, you collect and then take it and you have digitalize it, scan it, then transfer to computer, then make use of it. Okay. Now this is what they're doing wonderfully throughout the world. You can just transform into the digitalize it, all whatever museum specimen. Now like this. Now most of the displays are now coming in the forest department I went to the Andhra Pradesh, where we have the forest department maintain the digitalized. Now this is what digital bird display boards are there. You can see Madras Snake Park. If you go to the Madras Snake Park, they are also displaying the snakes like this in the digitalized mode. Now like this, if you go to Zoology of India, they have exhibited like this. Number of museums coming forward to exhibit in the digital format all your museum specimens. Now, as a teacher, I tell you one thing. I practiced myself. I learned this. This is what I took in the field. This is called the common moorhen. After my retirement, I took my camera and went to the field work daily, and I took pictures, birds, in the wetland bird. I interested in wetland bird in the Chennai Kolattur area. I go daily. I take this picture. Then, when I talk about digital museum, I made myself just what is our purpose in order to train our student? What systematic position? Identify, comment on this. So you can teachers can prepare, transfer it, and put it in the digital format. Then write common moorhen, phylum, chordate, all classification, or whatever description you want it. Put it when we have a spot, you just put it in your computer, and you have a digital computer. You are going to come, and we have a computers, and just show it to the student. Okay, train them. And this is what for the Rana exact. This is live specimen. In 2011 at 11:48, I have digital capture in the Kolattur. Think about it. It's very, very difficult. How many of you seen the live Rana exact data, green farm? Very, very difficult. Some of you might have seen only for dissection when the lab comes. Even now, I think you all might this maybe we have seen, and now the young zoology teachers or students may not see this. Instead of that, you must seen earlier Rana tigerina, Rana your cyanophractus. So you can also give the description like this. This is called digital museum. You can give description like this for snakes. Also, you can prepare. Now you can pick a number of. See, these are pictures I have taken in Chennai after my retirement. All these frogs and birds, excellent. This you can see the difference between museum specimen and this digitalized one. Like this. This is what. How many of you know that this is a cicada? And when I went as a tourist to USA, and there also I used to get the camera. That's what my field was. There also I go there. But beautiful cicada. How many of them? You have heard this cicada sound, and I was very fortunate daily for 1 month seeing thousands of these cicada doing just coming out, emerging from the soil underneath, and excellent, very great opportunity. And you can see this your painted grasshopper. We all know that only the testis comes for our cell biology. We do that. You can also do like this. And suppose the teachers may address me, sir, how to assess the students? If you do like the digital, how they will do it? Yes, there is a method. See, when I advocate for digital museum, I must also learn. I learned by an experience. So student assessment, evaluation, no, don't worry. You just remove that description, whatever it may be, from this side. You just exhibit the computer only this. If you want to identify, classify, comment on habitat, habits, okay, whatever you want. So this is a question. Okay, one spotter. The next, you can put the next one. 4 spotters. They will write the green color. If I keep the museum Rana Axia dactyla, the color is white. But students will write what you will write. Rana Axia dactyla. It's a green in color. It's a green frog. Don't you think? The students teachers the evaluator because I cheated them. That's not a blame. Right? You all accept? As an educator, as my teacher friends, good. Now, what is the best conservation strategy? It is an innovative teaching, training, pedagogical digital technology. This digital museum avoids trapping, capture, killing of different species of animals. You can have a camera, no need of camera, everybody is mobile. You just have a click, digitalize it, transfer it to computer. What is the advantage of digital museum? There is a financial savings. You not spend money on that. Then wise utilization of resources, natural resources, reduce the environmental impact. You are avoiding the ecosystem imbalance, and it plays a significant role. If a digital museum plays an excellent role in the conservation of animals or the conservation of biodiversity. By raising awareness and supporting conservation efforts like this, we can make a real difference. This is what teachers, educators, the students can make a real difference in order to help prevent animals from disappearing. You are committed saving the biodiversity. Now, the Mahatma Gandhi Door and Cap Center for Alternative to Use of Animals in Life Sciences team, under the chairmanship of our excellent leader, Professor Akbar Shah. We have motivated teachers and students throughout India to give importance to digital media. This is K.K. Sharma. He is a retired professor of zoology and vice chancellor of the MDS University, Mahasi Dayanand Saraswati University, Ajmer. We conduct like this. We sensitize number of students and teachers throughout India. Now, institutions which are already, see, you must see that the K.K. Sharma has come forward in his curriculum, in his zoology syllabi. He has included this. Having zoology mission should not procure missing specimen now onwards and should use charts, slides, models, photographs, and digital art in case of need. Those new institutions which are not having zoology mission in the department should provide learning related zoology specimen with the help of charts, slides, model, digital alternative. Arrange to visit already established. MDS University syllabus. Sir, he has come. This is what we want, innovative things. Curricular transformation. Syllabus change panna. Otherwise, every day we have a change. Okay. Now, this is what I used to give a sensitive program when I have a conferences. I went to ABC College. I sensitized zoology teachers, wildlife teachers and students there. And now, you must be very happy that Tula survey is coming forward. Earlier said so many millions of specimens are preserved in Zoology Survey of India. At the same time, the director has told me, when I asked him, sir, why can't you have a digital? He said, yes, you are Satyanarayana, you are right. So we have already having this collection, killing of preserved animal avoided. We are using the digital technology. We are encouraging the idea. We are also conducting a workshop. They have conducted a workshop to train the participant in order to have a digital museum in the future, maybe in the next generation. And teachers, students are encouraged to submit a digital photograph for digital museum. If you today or tomorrow, you just capture digitally, one, prepare a basic information, species identification, distribution map, serve as a conservation and education tools like this. Now, if you've done one animal, only one species, digitalized, you have successfully submitted your first record to the digital museum. Don't worry, sir, 1,000 I can't know. I'm an optimistic fellow, as an optimistic educator. If you do one animal, transform it, you are saved. One frog, like you are saved. Different animals, that's what we have to do. That's what we did for the dissection, Akbar Shah, myself, and Sharma throughout the we have saved lakhs of the million of the frogs and other animals in the So you are now, if you do like this, you are a qualified conservation citizen. That's what everybody must feel. If you want to have a qualified conservation, I say, I am a wildlife biology teaching and I am a, no. If you do like this, digitalize one thing, conservation scientist and ambassador for bio, hereafter, you will be the ambassador for the forest. And it will take 1 or 2 minutes. We have to work together. All of us must work together to convert it into a digital museum in order to secure and sustain wild animal population. A digital museum really an existing technology-based approach. Don't think it's a big thing. It's only a technology approach. The quality of the digital museum again depends on the support, interest, and innovative approach by educators. Very important. All the teachers must come forward, have a curricular transformation, have a transformation in the museum, have a digital museum. All of must support in the department. We must all coordinate. We must support for this cause. Now, if you have a challenge in digital era, you are in a digital era, you are the age, are you achiever? Are you part of our team? We have an excellent team. Professor Akbar Shah, who is the leader, is the chair of the Biodevelopment, and myself and K.K. Sharma and others also there. Our challenges motivate you. You want to deliver more. You join us. You are the creators of innovative digital museum. That means technovation. You are the technocrat. Now you can just think yourself, you decide whether we'd like to have a continued traditional museum, zoology museum, or a digital zoology museum. Thank you very much. Divakar? Okay.
Thank you very much, sir.
Close my PPT.
Yes, sir. Sir, excuse me, sir. Sir, is there any difficulty in preserving the photograph of animals of other countries? Say, for example, some animals may be indigenous for a particular country. Is there any law protection against preserving the animals of any other India?
Look at
No.
see, now for example, Indian Wildlife Protection Act says that the
Okay.
protection given only animal. That is
Oh.
why they trade in pet birds.
Oh,
Birds
okay.
பார்த்தீங்கன்னா எல்லாருமே இம்போர்ட்டட்.
Okay, sir.
அந்த இம்போர்ட்டட் எல்லாருமே நீங்க லவ் பேர்ட்ஸ் எல்லாருமே வச்சுருங்க. என்னன்னா என்ன இம்போர்ட்னா லால இல்ல, இந்தியால வந்து பாஸ்கெட் பண்ண முடியாது.
Sorry.
See, that's what trade is continuing. See, we also wildlife biology, what you're telling that it is
Okay.
not again this blanket permission. See, we should not do like that. It should
Okay.
be animal ban means everything should be there. That's what the pity. So
Okay,
if
sir.
you put an animal, whatever it may be, no prosecution.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
That's not the problem.
Okay, sir.
In future, it may be rectified.
Oh.
Clarification அப்புறமா அக்பர் ஷா lecture அப்புறம் வச்சுக்கலாம். Better இல்ல.
Yes, sir. Yes,
I
sir.
hope
Yes,
so,
sir.
sir. We can have the clarifications afterwards, sir.
சார் முடிச்சிட்டு அப்புறமா.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, sir. Thank you. Dear participants, now we are moving on to the second session. The second invited talk is on virtual lab, delivered by Dr. M.A. Akbar Shah, biomedical scientist and research coordinator, National College, Trichy. Now I invite Professor Beno to introduce the speaker to the participants network.
Thank you, sir. Good evening to one and all. I take this as a opportunity, and I am much privileged to introduce Dr. M.A. Akbar Shah, fondly called by us Akbar Shah, and also Sir was graduated from zoology in the year 1968 from Scott Christian College, Nagarkoil, and qualified himself as a postgraduate from Government Arts College, Coimbatore, and he was awarded a PhD from Madras University in the year 1980. Sir had a very distinguished career as a scientist and teacher for 38 long years and retired formally from service as Professor of Animal Science and Biomedical Science, Chair, School of Life Sciences and Dean, Faculty of Science, Madras University, Tiruchirappalli. Sir was the Emeritus Professor of Life Sciences for 1 year, that is 2008 to 2009, and still in active academics till today. His areas of interest includes endocrinology, reproductive biology, phytotherapy, cancer biology, obesity, in vivo and in vitro toxicology, alternatives to animal experimentation. To his credit, he has 250 research and review publications in peer-reviewed journals, out of which 125 are listed in the NCBI PubMed. A few appeared in RSC and ACS journals. He is currently editor-in-chief of Journal of Endocrinology and Reproduction, the official organ of the Society for Reproductive Biology and Comparative Endocrinology. Sir has co-authored 2 books on Indian medicinal plants. He has attended more than 300 seminars, symposia, conferences, and presented papers, chaired sessions, and delivered keynote addresses. Sir has guided and completed 23 PhD students under his direct guidance, and he has been co-guide for many candidates. Sir has operated several sponsored projects from UGC, DBT, DST, CSIR, and ICMR, and has been awarded grants for international collaborative studies, including from NIH USA, Common Breast Foundation USA, and Doran Cap Bidsen Foundation Switzerland, and he was conferred Para Govindarajulu Gold Medal Oration Award of Society for Reproductive Biology and Comparative Endocrinology in the year 2016. Sir was the UGC nominee in the UGC SAP Phase 2 Advisory Committee of NEHU Shillong. He was the member of UGC Expert Committee to review use of animals in life science education. Sir has completed term as member of one of the task force, Fertility Regulation and Expanding Contraceptive Choices of Indian Council for Medical Research, India. Sir has visited countries such as Australia, Norway, UK, USA, Germany, Italy, France, Ethiopia, Saudi Arabia, Sri Lanka, Canada, Czech Republic, Japan, Brazil, Finland, and Austria. Sir has completed term as Director and Chair, Mahatma Gandhi Doran-Camp Center for Alternatives, Madras Museum, Tiruchirappalli from 2009 to 2016, and also visiting professor to King Saud University, Riyadh, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, 2011 to 2014. The MGDC, that is Mahatma Gandhi Doran Camp Center for Alternative, is now National Center for Alternatives to Animal, associated with the animal alternative movements for well over 2 decades. He has been propagating the message of alternatives in India in collaboration with the DZF Switzerland, Inter NICHE UK, iCare Italy, PETA India, HIS India, and PFA India. Sir was collaborating with the People for Animal, PFA, Chennai, and the Doran-Camp Zidman Foundation, Switzerland, established a national center on alternatives in India. He was identified as the Gandhi Gruber Doran-Camp Chair, only the 5th for DZF and the first outside USA and Europe. A guest of honor at the inaugural function of Center for Alternatives to Animal Testing Europe, the counterpart in Europe for CAAT USA, held on 2010. Sir actively took part in international workshops on alternative methods to reduce, refine, and replace the use of animals in vaccine potency and safety testing, state of the science and the future directions at NIH campus, Bethesda, USA, on 2010. Sir trained himself in vitro toxicology techniques at the Institute for In Vitro Studies, USA, in 2011. Sir has attended as one of the experts the 3-day workshop organized by CAAT EU and the Transatlantic Think Tank for Toxicology, entitled CAT Europe's Workshop on 3R Education, held on October 2010. Sir attended the CAAT EU Information Day Toxicology of 21st Century at the same venue in 2010. Sir was attended the World Congress on Alternatives in Rome, World Congress 7, World Congress 8, World Congress 9, and World Congress 10. Sir addressed the Pan-American Conference on Alternatives, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, with travel support from DZF and L'Oreal. Sir established the Society for Alternatives to Animal Experiments, India, 2018-19, with headquarters at Madras University, Tiruchirappalli, in 2018. Now he is the General Secretary. Sir conducted more than 100 training workshops on alternative to animal experiments with experts from India as well as abroad, and popularized alternatives among academicians, scientists, and regulatory community. Over and above the service, original contribution to the domain on alternative includes exhaustive and ongoing research on Hydra as an alternative model organism for environmental toxicity studies and risk assessment. Such an experienced researcher is with us today. I invite and hand over the network to Dr. Akbar Shah. Sir, please.
So can you hear me? Can you see the PowerPoint?
Blank slide. Right.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So is that okay now? So you can hear me and you can see the slide, okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, good evening, dear colleagues from St. Joseph's College and other colleges, and colleagues from institutions across the country and students. It has been a very pleasant experience to be associated with this webinar organized by the St. Joseph's College, with which I have been associated in different capacities over a very long period of time, almost 50 years. Well, today's webinar, the program is concerned with innovative pedagogy of laboratory courses in animal biology. We have heard one talk, the program offered by Professor Satyanarayana, and mine is the second talk. And my talk is going to be on virtual laboratory under the same theme of innovative pedagogy of laboratory courses in animal biology. I'm really happy that I'm sharing this network, addressing the teachers and students from across the country. Well, this webinar, talking to students and teachers through webinar or the network, is the contemporary scenario necessitated essentially because of the COVID-19 pandemic. A pandemic which has restricted us to our homes and we cannot be moving about. We call it the lockdown, and really very unfortunate that we are not able to be very active. And everybody is handicapped in one way or the other, and so the teachers and the students. So we are now locked down at our homes. We can't attend college classes, go to colleges, attend classes. Teachers can't engage classes, they take care of the students. And it has become a really a big issue now in the country, where the students are deprived of the privilege of attending to classes and listening to lectures and improving their caliber towards completion of their course and getting their certificates. Unfortunate, really. And so we have to think of alternative. In any situation of necessity, any situation of crisis, so you can't go through a normal course. There are certain compulsions that you can't go through the normal course. Then you have to think of alternative. So I am using the term alternative in the present context of COVID-19 pandemic. So as far as the students are concerned, teachers are concerned, the alternative is the online course. So online course is necessarily adapting a technology which had already been there. We didn't discover it, we didn't develop it to fit to context now. It has been there already. Not exactly as courses, more importantly as a platform for people from different places, different countries to come together and share their thoughts, ideas, exchange views, conferences, programs, not exactly oriented towards at classrooms scenario or context, more associated with programs, other programs. So this is now adapted for offering courses starting from LKG to PhD. Now our PhD students can take submit their thesis or defend their thesis in the online mode. So that is a compulsion. So glad that the situation has evolved like this because of the COVID compulsion. But then the science students are handicapped more and above the lessons they listen to from the teachers over the online. We also have to fulfill the second requirement of the laboratory exercises. As science programs, we have got to be going into laboratory courses, which are essentially aimed at learning certain aspects of this subject that we cover in the theory courses. And those can be done only in the laboratories because they are hands-on. You have to be having experiments like chordata or invertebrate dissections, or as Professor Satyanarayana said, look at the museum specimens and study the systematics and biodiversity. Or you look at the physiology, animal experimentation is required, like our muscle twitch or nerve conduction, all kinds of physiology experiments, some ecology studies, some cell biological studies, some genetics experiments. These are learned only in the laboratories. So the students are now deprived of this privilege of sitting in the laboratories and attending to laboratory classes, having their hands-on with the laboratory courses. So, and as much as we have online, which is there for the theory courses, do we have something that can take care of the laboratory courses also? So this is the situation now. You can't attend the labs. Well, labs are empty, and we are locked down in our homes. So where do we have a way out to solve this crisis? We have, like, can we look at the virtual biology lab? That is what I'm going to speak about today. So we have the virtual biology lab, which is the theme of today's talk. Well, the virtual biology lab had a long history, genesis. Unlike any other aspect of virtual courses, like in chemistry, in physics, or in technology, the biology lab courses coming into the virtual modality has had a long history, and there were certain compulsions. I'll take up two simple historical instances that led to the development of the virtual courses, which we adapt today in this COVID pandemic situation. So what you see in the PowerPoint now is a still that is from actually a movie which was produced based on a real time experience. This is a case of a girl by name Jennifer Graham, who in 1985 was a student of a high school in California, one of the board schools. And this girl, in 1980s, people, even today, the school children also have to do laboratory experiments or exercises. And for biology students, it used to be dissection, which was the most important aspect of the lab courses. But this girl, Jennifer Graham, was not happy with the dissection. She wouldn't bear the sight of dissecting a frog, the sight of cutting it open, do the vivisection and look at its frog and look at its wriggling when it is anesthetized, half anesthetized. She was very compassionate towards the animals. She loved animals. She didn't want to engage and participate in the dissection in a classroom. So she said, no, I can't take the laboratory course dissecting a frog. I would still like to learn biology without dissecting frog. So the school administration, the board was not willing to concede the point, and she couldn't take the examination because she didn't attend the classes, the laboratories, and she was not allowed to move to the next grade. So what happened was this girl had to discontinue the course because she wouldn't take the dissection. So it became a big issue in the United States. The media took up the issue. And ultimately what happened was this girl was advised to go to court. So there was a legal battle going on between the school administration, the board, and the girl. And it was a long drawn struggle. And ultimately the court passed judgment, declared judgment, that the girl has a right to learn whatever course she would like to. She wants to learn biology, and she should be given the permission to do that. If she doesn't take dissection, it is the responsibility of the teachers, the board, the administration to provide an alternative. Here comes the word, the alternative. So to provide an alternative for the students who wouldn't like to take the dissections or any other exercises in the lab. So thus came the word alternative. The court declared that there must be alternative provided for dissection. So starting from then, there were a lot of effort to go into alternative modalities, making use of the computer simulations or computer-assisted technology to bring up virtual learning tools such that it can replace the animal dissection. And perhaps what really was haunting Jennifer Graham should be a situation like this. This is not Jennifer, this is somebody else. But you can look at the facial expression of this girl. She's dissecting a frog, and she really doesn't like. She is not happy with this dissection. This should have been the impression, the experience of Jennifer, which led to the court case, the long court case, ultimately ending up in a movie with the same story, and the introduction of the concept of alternatives in the biological science studies, zoology courses in dissection. So that is a part of the story, development of alternatives for dissection. Now we come to India. Suddenly, over the past 30, 40 years, India has been really concerned about biodiversity. Newer lot of rules and regulations towards conservation of the biodiversity, because plants and animals are becoming rare, if not extinct. You don't get that many number of animals and plant species as we had in the past, say 50 years back. Well, I got interested in this because I had certain specific reason. You are looking at a frog, a very pleasant animal to look at, very timid, simple, harmless animal. What you see is the green frog, the Rana hexadactyla, or now it is called Euplectis hexadactylus. This is the one, the staple recipe used by the students from time immemorial. You remember in 1920 we started dissecting animals as an aspect of biology courses. We continue to do it even today, over 100 years. And so frogs are used in large numbers for the purpose of dissection. And you see two frogs, one on the top, which is Euplectis hexadactylus, and lower is the Euplectis cyanoplectus. In my own experience, during 1980s, somehow it so happened that we were not getting frogs brought to the lab. The supplier were not able to supply frogs to be used in the dissection. So what happened was the classes went wasted, the time was lost. The students were not able to dissect the frogs and complete the experiment exercises. So ultimately they had to face the examination without having been exposed much to the animal dissection of frog. So frogs had become rare. And we made a very rough estimate of how many animals were used and how many frogs are used in these endeavors. Little bit of we have over 3 million undergraduate and graduate students in life sciences who use real animals to study, which is the reason each year the total number used is about 30 million. 30 million animals are used every year, sacrificed, or you can use killed for the purpose of dissection and experiments. And out of these 30 million, every year we use about 3 million frogs. Well, the number is expected to grow because every year there will be more students, not 3 million, it will be 3.5, 4, 5. The number of students will increase. And to that extent, the number of animals required for laboratory courses to be sacrificed for this purpose, the number will increase. So it is likely for far more than 30 million animals per year would have been used. So if you one year it is 30 million, 10 years it will be 300 million animals, and it would be 30 million frogs over the 10 years. So this is perhaps one of the major reasons why the frogs have slowly disappeared, and we do not get the Rana hexadactyla or Euplectis hexadactylus that plenty as it used to be. Like in my days when I was a student and subsequently a teacher, the early career teacher, we used to have plenty of these frogs brought to the labs, and we used to see these frogs in the wild, in the paddy fields, in the water tanks, reservoirs, water bodies. Now we don't have them. The other frog which I showed is a different species, Euplectis cyanoplectus, which is now available in large numbers, but not our green frog, the Rana hexadactyla or Euplectis hexadactylus. So large scale use of these frogs has become one of the, I don't say it is the reason, it is the reason. It's not the only reason. There are other reasons, but this is the major reason for the depletion of the frog species. Well, so it became a big issue, and people started searching for the frog. We were not getting the frogs. So I got emotionally attached to the issue because I was not getting these frogs to the class for the students to use in their dissection. So I made investigation. I got affectionate towards this animal. So I started speaking about it. Before I became an alternative person, this is actually my topic of fantasy rather, to speak about conservation of the frog species. So this is actually a chapter which I wrote in one of the books, Biodiversity Conservation, Challenges for the Future. The article is titled, The State of Frogs in India, a case for discontinuation of use of frogs in dissections and experiments. So that is the amount of emotion I had in trying to conserve this particular species of frog. And to motivate me towards a movement towards preservation of this animal, particularly this animal, but also the other species which are used in dissection and experiments. There was an article which appeared in Current Science in 2011 from Karthik Vasudevan and Supriya. It talks about utilization of wild caught animals in education, a case of rampant vivisection in India. This is very important. This kind of large-scale sacrifice of animals towards dissection is very endemic and unique to India. In no other country do these students, the institutions, sacrifice this many animals. In fact, most of the countries don't purpose kill animals for dissection. They only collect road accident killed animals or otherwise dead, otherwise for some reason. These are collected and preserved and that are only used for demonstration or group dissections. India is the only country, perhaps to the best of my knowledge, where you get every student is given a frog for every class, and this is incorrigible, I would say. I'm sorry if this is the wrong word to use. So scientifically, from records of, papers have recorded that we are unnecessarily using animals in dissection that affects campus biodiversity. So that is the two instances of like something can happen at the global scale. Jennifer Graham doing something in the United States becomes a global issue. And in India, the erosion of biodiversity, the depletion of species in general, and in my case, particularly the frog which I love the most, the Rana hexadactyla, the frog has gone into IUCN Red List today. That is the extent to which it has become rare. It is not become extinct, it is there, but you don't get that many number, very few of them are there. So these developments has been, particularly in India, bringing pressures on the regulatory authorities of higher education, such as to change the pattern of education or bring about a gross change in the pedagogy, the teaching method, the learning method, such that animals are not depleted from their natural habitats, not caught for dissection purposes or experiment purposes. And it happened, the kind of pressure was such, students, teachers, voluntary organizations, and the government, the regulatory authorities had to yield, had to succumb to the pressure. And it happened in 2011. The University Grants Commission had a large, a big round of discussions, deliberations with teachers, administrators, authorities, and came out with a decision to reduce the amount of dissections. That is called a phase 1. And then in 2014, August, the second phase of discussion or deliberation, when it was agreed that in the context of the erosion of biodiversity, which the country is greatly concerned about, so the University Grants Commission had to succumb to the pressure and come up with the committee's recommendation that hereafter animals will not be used for dissection in any course, undergraduate or for postgraduate. I should also here tell you that by this time, this is in 2014, but before that, around 1999, the CBSE, the Central Board of Secondary Education, because animals were not available, they had dropped the dissection from the curriculum and it introduced alternative modalities of learning. In state boards also, animal dissection, in almost all states, we don't have animal dissection, particularly frog dissection today in the curriculum. So point to carry for the listeners is that the University Grants Commission in 2014 have banned animal dissection completely. So the notification said for undergraduate and postgraduate programs, both at major and allied levels, animal from any species, no animal from any species shall be dissected either by teachers or students for any purpose. The teacher shall demonstrate one or more aspects of anatomy to students with the help of digital alternatives, models, and charts. So this is about our, the most of the listeners that are concerned about come from colleges and university background. So in the light of this decision, there are many other background legal issues at that time prevalent, which were adapted by this committee for this recommendation, like Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act, and then the Wildlife Act 1972 improved in 1985, and other acts and notifications. So all put together, we have now a law which says that we cannot use animals in dissection in classrooms. So by the time, well, I had a great role, a big role to play. I said I have a lot of love for frog, and I was pressurized by the frog into this great movement. So I had to play. This is a write-up about me in Sunday Guardian that is published from Delhi. So it says, Trichy professor helps UGC phase out animal dissections. Well, I don't really deserve this big prize, but still, I did play a role in this. And by that time, then the Pharmacy Council of India, which governs the pharmacy education in the country, also brought up a regulatory change saying that no animal shall be used in the pharmacology experiments, pharmacy experiments, and they shall do alternatives in that place. And Medical Council of India also brought up an amendment to the regulations that animals shall not be used for experiments, physiology experiments, and they will have to do for alternative methods. So having said about this background, we are now concerned about a big issue of not to use animals in dissections and experiments in the laboratories, but we still have to learn. We are science students. We will have to be doing laboratory exercises as a support to understand the concepts in subjects that you learn in the theory courses. So you need to have an alternative. And it is the pedagogical issue, an issue that concerns the teaching learning methodology. So if we have to change from real-time animal dissections and experiments, so what is the other alternative available? So we look at the educational technology, the changes in the development of pedagogy. So we change from real-time dissection, real-time experiments to computer-assisted learning. This is a pedagogical change, a dramatic change from real-time animal handling and dissection to virtual. We don't really handle the animal, but still have that kind of experience, and more than the experience, to understand the concepts in subject without handling the animal. So this is not the experience. More important is the emphasis on learning. You learn the concepts, the issues, topics much better in the alternative, the computer-assisted learning methodology than you do using through dissections. So we had a big role to play, as I said, in the UGC decision, and in fact it becomes a national movement. We established the Mahatma Gandhi Doran Camp Center at Biodevelopment University, with a huge grant of 5 crore rupees coming from the Doran Camp Spindle Foundation in Switzerland. So we established a big lab, a big facility, and we went around the country as a team and spoke to teachers, spoke to students, motivated them, and we formed that as the background to change from animal dissections to alternative, and that was in fact a pressure on the University Grants Commission. So that project from Doran Camp Foundation was over in 2016. So we were not willing to stop at that level. So we moved with the University Grants Commission because UGC has already banned animal dissection, so there should be facilities available for alternative approaches. So UGC was willing to take over the Mahatma Gandhi Doran Camp Center. So that center is now UGC National Center for Alternatives to Animal Experiments. And then, for reasons of age, I had to move out, and I have started the Indian Society for Alternatives to Animal Experiments, the IASAAE, that was in 2018. So we still have the National Center alive and going on with its activities, and the society is doing its playing its role from a different perspective. So the Bharatidasan University has a big name in the history of the alternative movements in India. And these the three musketeers, you may call. I am the group leader, the team leader, and we have Professor Krishan K. Sharma, who was the professor of zoology at Maharishi Dayanand Saraswati University in Ajmer, and he ended up later as vice chancellor of that university. And my friend Dr. Satyanarayana, who was actually a real motivator, my motivator into the alternative science. So we formed a very coordinated team. We went around the whole country and motivated people to change to alternatives. So having said about this background, I am taking you to the real topic. So in the place of alternatives, in the place of real dissection and experiments, which in the present scenario is because of the COVID-19 pandemic, but otherwise for other reasons, emotional, legal, and technical issues, there has been a need to change from real animal experimentation and dissection to an alternative laboratory educational modality. So we call it alternatives for animal use in education. There are many alternatives, but today's talk is to tell you about the virtual lab. So it is more concerned about two important components of the alternatives education, where you can learn from home. You learn the laboratory exercises sitting at your home as you do learn theory courses, again, sitting at home. So one is your the CDs. We call them digital alternatives. You get large number of software written by essentially teachers of biology. They are not computer technicians, prepared and written by zoology teachers or biology teachers, and you get many of them. More than 100 such material is available in the market. So, and many are available also freely downloadable in the web. You can download it. And the second is the adapting simulations. So digital approach and simulations are the alternatives that can be used in the COVID pandemic scenario, where you are living, staying at home, and you will do the daily exercise the same way as you would do in a laboratory, but the approaches are different, and the learning outcome will also be here in this the technology-oriented approach. It will be much more effective than the real dissection. Well, some general remarks about this approach. So these are computer-based software, and each software is prepared perhaps using a different program. This is important for you, those who will be using these alternative methods. Perhaps the country will adapt to this method in a short course of time. We have already sensitized and motivated people to do this. So it is now available. I am again taking it after a little break. So now it will become the method, the modality of laboratory learning. At least the COVID pandemic is over, and perhaps beyond that. So they are prepared using different programs. So you should know what program has been used to prepare the particular software so that you become versatile in handling it. And very important, they are very simple and easy to handle. They are user-friendly. In fact, no special training is required. Nobody trained me. I took it on my own. Satyanarayana, he learned it ahead of me. And Professor Sharma also has been doing it much before I got into the scene. And the simple thing is there are instructions. Stage by stage instructions are there. You will have to go by only the instructions. And you should go at the pace of the computer speed. This is a precaution. You can be learned from home. Unlimited use. Once you do, you commit mistakes. Second time you do, third time, any number of times. Because you are at home, there is nothing restricting, stopping you from using it many times. So unlimited use or repetitive learning is ensured. Learning oriented rather than skill oriented. Therefore, the approach to outcome are not the same as in the wet lab. Most important, you don't kill animal and you don't look at blood. Well, you get, I said, more than 100 different items. I am just telling you, this is only, again, a sensitization of the students and my colleagues from different parts of the country. You get information about it, you just go into Google and search for alternative to animal experiments. You will get all the information available, but only to sensitize you, I take up a few of these items. Like, for example, what you see here is a CD-ROM, which is named Pro Dissector Frog. So you have the publisher is there, commercially available. Those of you who will be interested, please have a screenshot of these 5-6 PowerPoints so that you can order for this material and obtain them through internet markets, right? So this is called Pro Dissector. I will also demonstrate 1 or 2 exercises using this software in the course of this talk. So this is Pro Dissector, one of the best. I like the most among all the software for dissection. See, dissection is essentially for understanding anatomy. You must remember this point. It is not per se dissection which is a laboratory exercise. It is not at all. The dissection is meant for understanding the anatomy of the animal and connect it with its mode of life, its physiology, ecology, genetics. So basically it is understanding the animal's anatomy, and the Pro Dissector frog is an excellent tool to understand anatomy. Another good simple material is BioLab frog. Again, the details are there. This is produced by somebody, but marketed by Carolina, which is a supply company in North Carolina in USA. So the material can be available from them. Another is the digital frog, called a DigiFrog abbreviated. This is the copyright is held by a society, so they are interested in popularizing this modality. So give it for as a affordable cost. And then this is another excellent learning tool, Dissection Works. This, of course, this is a licensed version. Therefore, you have to have a license to use it. I have it. I have one, but I can't bring it to the lecture today. So this is Dissection Works, which is a package of 5 animals like a crayfish, dogfish, a frog, a fetal pig, and a rat. So these animals, the anatomy of these animals could be understood as if you are doing a dissection laboratory exercise. So you learn it, and a little bit of the skill of dissection will also be possible. And this is virtual frog dissection. This is available for free download in the web. So if you Google and ask for virtual frog dissection, you will have it. So you can download it, and students can have the experience of handling a software telling you about the dissection of frog. And this is another brilliant material. I have chosen only the best. There are very many, but these are limited number of examples. Frog guts. This is not available as CD. It is actually, you'll have to go for a license, make the payment for 5 user, 10 user, 20 user kind of thing. Then they will allow you the permit. So you can download it from the web and use it for your laboratory courses. This, in addition to the anatomy, understanding the anatomy aspects of anatomy of animals, it also has more than one animal. You can also learn a little bit about ecology, a little bit of genetic experiments like Mendelian experiments, which Gregor Mendel conducted in his great discovery of genetics as father of genetics. So you have progress. And if it is these are all mostly for anatomy. And you need something, because there's a second area where you use animals for the laboratory courses is physiology. So this is available again by the Benjamin Cumming. It's actually a laboratory manual. And for this manual, there is a supporting material in the form of the CD, which is having about 12 into 10, about 120 exercises in physiology, which you can never imagine to be doing in your lifetime exercises in the labs. These are possible by virtual learning and by simulations. These laboratory exercises, like don't need to pick an animal and see it wriggle and suffer death, suffer anesthetization, and remove the gastrocnemius muscle with the sciatic nerve, do the muscle nerve experiments. You don't need it to do. You can do it in the virtual mode. Much better exercises, neuromuscular, all kinds of digestive physiology, endocrine physiology, neurophysiology. Tell me anything, immunology. So a lot of exercises are there in this material. So that is PhysioX. They will upgrading, like, this is the 9th version. I don't know, perhaps the 10th version has come by now. This we purchased about 5 years back. Okay, that was in 2012, 10 years, almost 8 years now. So it must be they have changed to a new version. Then we have, of course, you could see that none of these items which I showed so far were rated in India. They were all made abroad. So we have some people having done outstanding work towards alternatives. But in the pharmacology scenario, animal experimentation, Ravindran from Jipmer Pondicherry has been a forerunner in writing a CD called XPOM Pro. So it has got a number of exercises. This is available. Again, if you send a mail to him, he will be able to give you the CD, maybe free of cost. And there is another one, Excology Pro, written by, I forget his name. So it's Chandragowda Patil. He is an associate professor in the Department of Pharmacology College in Shirpur in Maharashtra. So beautiful material. Yes, Ravindran Patil have won many awards for their material. Then you have Dr. Sandhya Avadani, who just retired from St. John's Medical College in Bangalore. She wrote a wonderful software for physiology, X-Physiology Pro. Details are there. And another physiology simulation brought up by 3 people, Rashmi Babar, S.K. Bajaj, and Sharmila Sanyal. They're all professors in institutions in Delhi. So India also had not lagged behind much. So having said about a little introduction to the software, I'll take 1 minute to change the scene to take you to one of these CDs. So what I'm going to show you is a very short glimpse of software which you should enjoy, the Pro Dissector Frog. So I have just opened the software. It may take a little time because they are in the transmission mode. It takes a little time. So it shows up the screen, the opening. So it tells you about it. You can see on the left, you can see the instruction and some details about the CD is there. It has simply it has got 4 components: anatomy, the systems.
Sorry, sir.
Yes, sir.
You try to shift to that your CD mode, sir. It is still in PPT.
The PPT minimize
Yes,
Wait a minute. I now minimize the CD. Minimize the PPT. Do you see that now?
Having the PPT.
PPT is still seen?
Yes, sir.
So it will take 1 more minute. I will close it and then open it later. Okay?
Okay.
Right. I have closed it now.
Yes.
And what happens? Okay.
The video open to share.
I think we got into a mess.
இது போடுங்க code. You type it code. You just left the Zoom. Again you come. Beginning la irundhu vaanga.
Illa sir, star is still in the Zoom. Still in the Zoom.
Star is in the connection.
So
You minimize it. You close this also, sir. You close this.
I'm coming.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Take your own time, sir. No problem.
See now. Can you see this? The
Yes,
software.
sir. Yes,
Okay,
yes, sir.
fine.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay. So the CD is there. The material is there. It takes a lot of time. No, see, you would require 10-15 hours to become familiar with the CD. Just to give you a glimpse of it. So I'll take you to one of the approaches. So like for example, I take you to anatomy. It gives you the instruction as to how you go about it, and it takes time to read it. So by experience, I go by the instruction. So I choose one of the views. Like for example, I take a dorsal view. Well, it tells us to how good you can learn things using this material. You can use to go for a layer control, or you can tag structures, or you can choose a structure from the drop menu here. I'll just show a little bit of the layer control. So what you see is the frog. This is not a real frog. These are all photographs layered one over the other to give you a three-dimensional appearance. 2D flat structures, put it together to make a 3D material. What I now do is, please watch the screen very carefully. You will really enjoy it. So what you see is the frog in one of its appearance. So I little modulate or handle the visibility. Little change it by clicking the cursor. See, you can see by continuous handling, you can see that now what you see is from the skin, you go to the internal organization of the animal, and what you see are the muscles and a little bit of the bones. Okay, so having done this, you go to the next visibility tag. Like for example, I do the next tag here. Please watch very carefully. You'll really enjoy it. Right? I clicked it, and at the click of the mouse, from skin to muzzle, and from muzzle, now you have the bones. The entire bone skeletal system is beautifully deciphered on the screen, and the students will have lot of time to understand the skeletal anatomy of the frog. Usually, osteology is one of the most hated subjects for the students. To me, at least, when I teach, I did osteology most badly, and any other topic I did very well, because lot of names to remember it at the appropriate place. But here, you become so familiar, you get engrossed in understanding about the osteology. And go further. See, you see the bones, the entire skeletal system, the skull to the phalanges, all the bones are there, and also you could see the nerves. Okay, so the topology, the orientation of the organs are very clear. You get the skeletons, the bones, and also the nerves. I go to the next level to a little bit of visibility tag. See, the skeleton is disappeared, and you are now having the nervous system. Within minutes, for you to do all these things in a wet lab, it takes days, it takes months for you to move from one scenario to another scenario, and you will use one frog for morphology, one frog for muzzle, one frog for skeleton, one frog for digestive system, another frog for reproductive system, one more for nervous, several for nervous system. You are changed it to a newer approach. So you can look at all the nerves. You want to learn further about the bones, further about the muscles, further about the nerves. There are other tags, like for example, you go for a tag, right? So you just show at the place where the red tag, click it, you'll get what that particular organ is. Okay, you do it 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. I do not know what daily repressor mandibulae is. Now I try to understand, so I am exposed to this term for the first time. students will have wonderful experience of handling this. And so having done this, like I can go to another tag, like you get the bones, you want to know the names. Entire skeletal anatomy could be understood using this approach. I click it here. So you have the vertebrae, all the vertebrae are shown, and it tells what the vertebrae are. 9 vertebrae and a neurostyle form the vertebral column, and it goes like this. So this is one approach. A second approach is I go to the structure type here. Supposing I want to look at the nerves, click here. Next, and then from the list, you go to the next level drop menu. Supposing you want to know about the hypoglossal nerve, click it there. So you will have the entire nervous system, and you can see the one in yellow color here. That is the hypoglossal nerve. So in relation to the entire nervous system, in relation to the skin, in relation to the muscles, in relation to the bones, you'll be able to see where these nerves are supplying. So that's the way you can understand about it. It takes a lot of time, but these are available. The CD is available. If somebody is interested, please write to me. I can give you a complimentary copy, and you can copy it to your system and ask your students to share it. And I'll be happy if you don't decide frog and use this material for learning of anatomy. I take it to the systems. You'll have to bear with me for a little time. This one is the second session, so you can bear with that. So I take to the system. So then you can go the instructions. So you say, choose a system. Supposing I want to tell you about the circulatory system. So then we have to choose a lesson, like choose blood flow to the heart. Please. I go to the next lesson. So just as again, I use the word glimpse. It takes a lot of time, right? So you have systems. So digestion, musculoskeletal, nervous system, and respiratory system, and each one has its own lessons and so on and so forth. So a lot of learning. And the most very, very fascinating thing about this software is that there can be tests. People used to ask a question, teachers, my colleagues used to ask me, oh, after all, okay, fine, if the software-based learning is introduced, how did you evaluate the students' performance, their learning capacity? Well, you can subject them to the same self-test. Well, I don't have time to show you that. It just open, it click on, it shows the organ, and if the student has familiarized with that, they should be able to click on the organ. So vertebra, for example, I'm a teacher for 50 years, so I do it, so it is correct. So there will be time, like 50 minutes, so you'll have to be answering questions. So 30 questions will appear. So you can, they can be just screenshot, it can be recorded, PDF can be printed out and they can be submitted as record notebook. This is much more agile learning pedagogy of laboratory exercises, and of course there is a glossary. Okay, so you should have enjoyed this whole thing. There are a lot of more exercises which you should be able to go through when you have the software with you. So I now quit. Sadhya used to say that the frog is devouring a man, right? So now go on to the another biolab frog. Can you see the screen now? Sadhya?
No, sir. No, sir.
No?
No, sir.
So you don't see the biolab frog now, is it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I'll have
No, sir. Yes, sir.
it will take a minute.
Okay, sir.
No?
No.
No?
Not yet, sir.
So I'll have to go to screen. Yes. So every time I should go to screen. Now you will see.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
You'll really enjoy it. Right? So I am taking you through the biolab frog. This is again a beautiful, very brilliant learning device. No time to show you all the components. I should start somewhere. Well, it has got a morphology component. All these are all cursors leading to a set of exercises. Dissection is there, anatomy is there, digestive system is there, reproductive system is there, osteology is there. No time for me to take you. I want to show some that physiology experiments could also be conducted through online mode. So I demonstrate it here. So this is an exercise for telling you about the breathing rate lab. That is, we use frog. You can see a frog, which is actually lowering the buccal floor like this. No, this is actually the buccal movement, important contribution and aspect of the breathing, inhalation and exhalation. So you can see that a simple experiment is shown here, breathing rate lab. Again, you will have to bear with me for the time. So it gives all the instructions. So what we do is we set the temperature. Okay, I do this temperature at 5 degrees Celsius, right? And then
அது தெரியல சார் ஸ்கிரீன்ல we are not able the biolab frag வந்து minimize பண்ணுங்க screen we are not able to
you are not seeing the exercise, is it?
Yes, sir.
minimize that.
No.
the window minimize பண்ணுங்க.
இல்ல முடியாது.
அப்ப biolab double click பண்ணிட்டீங்களா?
பண்ணிட்டேன்.
click on that.
ஒண்ணுமே தெரியலையா? No, nothing is seen.
Only that window on biolab folder தான் தெரியும். Able to only folder in biolab.
Wait a minute.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You minimize it, sir. Yeah.
Getting it? வரல. No.
It will take time. Slowly going.
No.
Hang it.
இல்ல hang ஆகல. It's not. You can see that? No?
Not yet, sir.
நீங்க அந்த பார்க்கோட் டிசெக்டர் போனீங்க அதே மாதிரி தான் போகும்.
அதான் போறேன்.
That opening.
Try to open this Zoom.
You are able to see in your screen, sir.
இல்லையே. Zoom is not seen. I'm not getting the share screen.
Just go down.
No.
Share screen. Green one. The mouse அப்படியே கீழ வாங்க.
The வரல இல்ல.
Share screen. Already வருது share.
But அது ஏதோ அங்க இருக்கு.
Just scroll down, sir. You will get an icon.
Green.
Yes, sir. Now it's coming. Yes.
Getting it? Are you getting it? Can you see that?
No.
No. No, sir. No.
Perhaps I think abandon it and go to the rest of the PowerPoint. But to tell you then, this is another good material. Now can you say?
No.
No?
Sir, after opening, you press the share screen button, sir. After opening.
Okay.
It is taking some time, sir.
Yeah, big software, it will take time, sir.
இல்ல அதுல சம்டைம்ஸ் என்ன வந்து ஸ்ட்ரீமிங்ல வந்து வீடியோஸ் வந்து என்ன ப்ராப்ளம் வெபினார் சம்டைம்ஸ் வீடியோஸ் இட் டேக் டைம் இல்லையா.
Oh, yes, sir.
The streaming வந்து camera. Some of the.
Sorry, okay.
Especially videos. Sometimes it happens. Depend on network.
Yes, sir.
Can you see the PowerPoint now?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Close பண்ணிட்டு திருப்பி வாங்க.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Once again.
Now you present the PPT, sir.
Now?
Screen.
Not it.
Sir, after opening PPT, you press the share screen button, sir.
That's it.
Now? Okay. So I had to, under compulsion, abandon the demonstration of the BioLab frog. I take you to the PowerPoint, but I think the demonstration of the dissection works, I mean the pro dissected frog, the students particularly should have enjoyed, and the teachers also, perhaps. So having done it, I take you to the rest of the PowerPoint quickly. That's why I put a blank slide at that. So beyond that, what all I have showed are software which are very simple, and students can easily learn those software, handle the software, learn their topics. There are more advanced material. Again, if you want, you can have screenshots and use it for availing the material from the respective producers. This is Professor David Dewhurst. He is from University of Sheffield in UK. I mean, these are all good friends of mine. All the people with whom introduced, they are all in my close contact. Professor Dewhurst is also a good friend of mine. He has been to the Mahatma Gandhi Center once. So he has done a beautiful material for simulation of experiments in physiology and pharmacology. And another renowned, reputed material is virtual physiology.
Slideshow, full screen for us. Slideshow.
I'm sorry. Okay, so this is virtual physiology. The author is Hans Braun. Beautiful material, a lot like our virtual respiration, virtual circulation. For each system, he has done a software, virtual material which is available. Should be able to do that. So, having said this, I come to the end of my presentation. This has been our mission for well over 15 years. Because, technically, we started in 2009 as a center, but otherwise, we had done it from 1998 onwards. Satyanarayana was doing it so very well. I have been supporting him. And later, I took over and took the lead role. So we have been going, visiting many places across the country, talking to students, teachers, and giving them demonstrations, hands-on. This is a lab in perhaps if you remember right, it was near Ernakulam. The students, you can look at the brightness of the face of these students. They have been enjoying everywhere we go. Initially, they were a little reluctant, but going through we have an approach as to how to introduce the concept to them, put them into learning, and then really handle it. And then they become so happy. So when they leave, they are so satisfied with this exposure. So this is Satyanarayana, who gave the first talk, and this is me. And this is about almost 10 years back. So I was younger at that time. Right? And for you to have more information about this concept of alternatives for the virtual learning of your laboratory courses and the pandemic scenario, and subsequently, once you are experienced to this virtual learning, then you will prefer to go for virtual rather than go for real lab learning. So you have material like Yorka, a website, which contains information about the alternatives. Another is the Norcopa, the Norwegian Reference Center for Laboratory Animal Science and Alternatives, which website also should be giving you the number of material that are available. And the third one, which I would recommend for you to to visit, is the Interniche website, about which Satyanarayana made a mention, International Network for Humane Education, Interniche. So it is an alternatives database that is named as from guinea pig to computer mouse, right? It's brilliantly named material about, it's like a database of alternative software. So Satya showed this material to you. This is actually transformation, like technology transfer, technology change, technological change, and we go with the pace of this technological change. I remember those days when we used to have like only blackboard and chalk, and subsequently went for 2x2 slide, which we made out of Landon slides. Then we went on to overhead projectors with the transparencies. Then we went on to the PowerPoint. So the technology has been changing. We have been very, very brilliantly passing through the technological revolution. And here in laboratory exercises also, particularly the animals, which are so important treasures, the natural resources of a nation. You have got to be conserving them. So you'll have to change to the newer pedagogy, newer approaches. So resolve today's issues with today's tools. If you turn to resolve today's issues with yesterday's tools, tomorrow you will be out of business. So you will have to be learning the virtual laboratory now, so that when there is the next level change, you will also be keeping pace with the change. So you have to change. For two reasons. One, the pandemic, and therefore you will have to learn the labs sitting at home, the exercises sitting at home, so you will have to change. And in the longer term, the real time, after the pandemic is also got over, then even at that stage, you don't need to be using animals for your experiments. Laboratory exercises, you can still take your training in animal learning, animal biology learning, using the virtual mode. So better late than never. And the last quote I say is, the problem is the difficulty lies not in the new ideas. We have many new ideas, but the problem is we are not willing to change from the old ones. So only when you change from the old ones, we change to the newer ideas. So difficulty lies not in the new ideas, but in escaping from the old ones. So the frog thanks you, and the frog person, the professor, also thanks you for your participation. And I thank the Biochemistry Department colleagues, Biotech Department colleagues of the St. Joseph's College, and the Reverend Fathers, the Rector, Secretary, the Principal, for this wonderful opportunity of this webinar, and getting myself exposed to my teachers, my colleagues. Some of them are my friends, the people who are in the participation, and some of them are my own friends, long-time friends, inquisitive to learn about what I'm doing as alternative. Maybe some of them are listening to this kind of talk for the first time. Otherwise, they know me as a scientist. This is as an alternative person. So thank you, St. Joseph's College, for this wonderful opportunity. And I thank all the participants. And I think I kept you engaged, not really boring. Thank you so much.
Thanks, sir. Thanks, sir.
Thank you, sirs. Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Satyanarayana, sir, are you here, sir?
Yes.
Yes, sir. So there are a few questions, sir. Any one of you can throw some light on it, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Hartik Dayalan, he asked a question. Though we would like to follow virtual dissection, the problem lies with evaluation during the examination.
Sir, okay.
I'm audible, sir?
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now,
Can I repeat the question, sir?
No, I can understand. I expected this question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This question. I answered it when I made the presentation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
To dissect a frog, every software has one component which is test.
Yes.
But I told you, you must be very clear that because the approach is different, the examination approach will also be different. So in the classroom, in the laboratory, you are given a frog to make a dissection, and you do the dissection. The evaluator, the examiners go around and give the marks. And I know that we don't do the good justification there. If you are very objective, at least 50% of the students will fail. Am I right, Sadhya?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Most of them massacre the animal. Most of them just massacre the animal, and you don't see any organ inside. But here, in the digital mode, in the virtual mode, there is an evaluation component, and students can be given, be asked to participate in the evaluation, and the exercise, his performance is recorded. And there can be, in Physiology Experiments, for example, you can print out, you take a printout, PDF of the material can be printed out and submitted as a record of the evaluation. So there is much better evaluation, objective evaluation, than the evaluation that is done in the dissection labs. Student, are you happy about this answer?
Further, one more addition.
Yes, sir.
For each exercise, each level, you can take a print screen.
That's all. Yes.
Paste it, you can maintain record submission. So I learned from the teachers' feedback. So you can also submit a record. Each one you can take a printout, color or black and white, and then submit. Then for the exam, these are the ways you can evaluate.
Are there more questions?
Another question. This is from myself. So is there any funding given by the government of India to develop this sort of virtual labs?
Beno, I can share with you some material later. The University Grants Commission, by the time when it was sending out the notification about the ban of dissection, immediately afterwards, this issue was brought up to the University Grants Commission, and it said from the Special Assistance Grant, the UGC Special Assistant Grant, up to a maximum of 20% can be allocated for building up laboratory and establishing the facility towards this alternative modality of laboratory experimentation. So there is money. One. Number two, you can send separate proposal, an exclusive proposal to the UGC even now. You can send a proposal asking for grant of 20 lakh rupees to establish a virtual lab for this purpose, citing the UGC decision of banning animal dissection. Well, you are going to get the money. So there are, and then you can also approach those NGO organizations like PETA or PFA or HISI. They are also supporting to a certain extent. Right? So there are a lot of avenues for funding. Yes, sir.
one more thing
Thank you.
I want to add up here. Because
Yes,
if you have a computer lab in your college campus, all the time the computer lab has not been used for their curriculum. When you have free time, suppose Wednesday and Thursday they are free, 10 to 2, you can make use of that lab. That's what our management also tells us. Whenever there is a free, you can make use of the digital lab there. You can also take the student there and then you can also practice there. This is also other alternative.
One more question from
Yes.
Banu Madi. She was asking, though we are going for virtual lab or virtual dissection, for research purpose, we have to go for animal sacrificing. Though we are going for the transition or alternative, in experimental part, we have to rely on animals, live animals.
See, we have looked at this issue from two perspectives. I have been developing my talk only along those lines. One is your pandemic issue, the COVID pandemic, where you have no opportunity whatsoever to do the real lifetime laboratory exercises. Okay, you don't know, you have no way. You can't go into the lab and learn the exercises. So this is the alternative. And after the situations have settled down, when you go back to labs, then there are certain areas like dissection alone is banned. The use of animals in dissection is banned. But I and Sadhya would still prefer that you don't use animals in experiments. But there is no ban. There is no ban of use of animals in experiments. So to a minimum extent, with minimum without harming the animal, without affecting the psyche of the animal, you can still use some of the animals in experiments. And research we don't touch. Research is a different area altogether. We have to conduct research. You have to be conducting research. I do conduct research on Sicilians, Have you heard of Sicilians? Very unique animals which are found in the Western Ghats. I have been doing a lot of research on the Sicilians, simultaneous with my interest in the alternatives. But you can't do Sicilian research without sacrificing Sicilians. So there it is essential. Knowledge, newer knowledge is acquired, is developed, discovered only if you are going to do animal investigations. We don't stop it, but do it very carefully. Apply 3 R's in that scenario also: replace, reduce, and refine. So if you have alternative, go for replacement. If you don't have alternative, so reduce the number of animals. And if there is essentially you have to do animal experimentation or do animal sacrifice, do it very humanely, and that is called refinement. Well, it is allowed. So the straight answer is it is allowed, but with applying caution, restrictions, limitations. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And many of the participants, they have thanked and praised and appreciated your sessions, both of you. I would acknowledge this now. And another common question, sir. Many of them they have answered. Some of them, not many. Some of them they have asked. So, do this virtual lab session is only for frogs, or it can be available for fish or other minor rodents?
You remember I showed the Dissection Works SCD, which has material concerning crayfish, which is an invertebrate crustacean. The dogfish, which is a fish used in the labs in America. Fetal pig, which is again used by medical students. The rat. So software is available. I have material. I have material about rat. I have material about like earthworm. So you can and we can develop. We can develop. Beno can develop a software. Okay, if you have some interest in that is what Ravindran did. Ravindran is basically a MSc pharmacology, PhD pharmacology. And out of his interest in saving the animal, he put effort in learning photon programming. Please try to understand. A pharmacology professor at the age of 40-45, learning photon programming and writing a software totally new, which was never there earlier in any country for that matter. He did it for the country, for a software for India. Oh. So we can. Why not write softwares on certain animal like cockroach? I would love having a software for cockroach. One for like the calotus, or any animal that we routinely use in our labs. Okay. So there are many software for other animals, and there is scope for writing software, which is a big industry. If you write a software for example, cockroach, you will become a millionaire. Okay, you sell it in large numbers to all labs across the world. So, lot of scope. Okay, it becomes a big business also, money spinning device. Right.
You can also go through YouTube. If you go to YouTube, you have dissection alternate. You put that, you can go n number. Say thousands you can get. Now the best thing is Android. Android application also you can download to your mobile. All the dissection works, whatever it may be. The Android also it's available. You can download it. You can work with that. Number of programs are there with Android also. So there are a number of avenues, resources are available. Only thing you have to sit and choose which you want it.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your attending the questions and clarifying the doubts of the participants. Now we'll go to Divagar, sir.
Yeah, thank you, sirs. Dear participants, we move on to the last phase of this webinar. I invite Professor Benno to deliver the vote of thanks.
Father has not come.
Father hasn't come. He is in some other appointment.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes.
I take this opportunity and thank the webinar section. A very pleasant evening to one and all present with us in this webinar on innovative pedagogy of laboratory courses in animal biology, organized by the Department of Biochemistry, St. Joseph's College, Trichy. I take this opportunity to thank Dr. Leonard Fernando S.J., Rector, our Secretary, Reverend Dr. S. Peter S.J., Reverend Dr. M. Arathaswamy Xavier S.J., our Principal, for giving us this opportunity to conduct this webinar. I thank our resource persons, Dr. M. Satyanarayana, Associate Professor, Retired, Department of Zoology and Wildlife Biology, AVC College, Mailadurai, and Dr. M. A. Akbar Shah, Biomedical Scientist and Research Coordinator, National College, Tiruchirappalli, for imparting your valuable knowledge to the audience. I sincerely thank Dr. M. Kanikiraj, Associate Professor, Department of Physics, for his technical support and guidance for this webinar. I also thank my colleagues, Mr. Anthony Divagar Chandran, our HOD, Mr. P.G. Gigi, Ms. Sri Venkateswari, and I would like to thank our Dean, Dr. S. Sagay Satish, Dean, School of Biological Sciences, HOD, Biotechnology, Dr. E. Edward, HOD, Dr. S. Sendil Kumar, Botany, and various other faculties who have joined in this network. I thank all the participants from various states of India and various international backgrounds for their patient listening and cooperation throughout this webinar. Once again, I thank one and all virtually connected here in this platform. Stay home, stay safe. Thank you. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you so much.
1 second. Thank you, sirs. Thank you.
Thank you, boss. Thank you so much. Nice. Nice.
So audio போடுங்க சார்.
audio on பண்ணிக்கங்க சார். திவாகர் சார் audio.
Dear participants, the e-certificates will be sent to your email ID within 10 to 15 days. Thank you. Kindly leave. Wish you all good health. Sparing your time. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Our special thanks to Dr. M.C. Satyanarayana and Akbar Shah, sir. Thank you so much, sir. So you have spent 2 days. Yesterday also you have put your effort in doing this. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
So the pressure is ours, and thank you. We can do many more.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay,
So
thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Take leave. Fine.
Okay, you take leave, sir. Thank you,
Bye.
sir.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night, sir.
Thanks, sir. Thank you all, sir.
Bye.
Thanks.
I must thank you people for engaging at this pandemic.
Oh, thank you, sir.
It is our
It is our pleasure, sir. It is our pleasure also. Thank you, sir.
Hours to do so. You have engaged me 2 hours. Morning 3 hours I was at some other webinar.